Okay, hello everyone, this is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study with the constellations. We're in section 2, the constellation government, and that starts on page 487 in the original book. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this wonderful revelation. Thank you for our many blessings. Please keep our minds and hearts clear tonight. Open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of this and share it with others. We thank you for the opportunity to do this. We thank you for those who come and listen. And we thank you for the opportunities that you give us each and every day. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
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 Okay, let's see if I can. Now, y'all, I'm kind of handicapped tonight. What? This means being reported must got it here. Got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So since you're causing such problems, I'll let you start reading. Unmute first, though. There you go.
Okay. 2, the constellation government. The constellations are the autonomous units of a local universe, each constellation being administered according to its own legislative enactment. When the courts of Nebadon sit in judgment on universe affairs, all internal matters are adjudicated in accordance with the laws prevailing in the constellation concerned. These judicial decrees of Salvington, together with the legislative enactments of the constellations, are executed by the administrators of the local systems.
Okay, so each, there's 100 constellations in our local universe, right? So each and every one of these constellations have their own lawmaking system for that constellation, although they are always the oversight is the local universe itself, right? And even though each constellation is an autonomous unit, they're still adjudicated according to the laws that are of Nebadon and the constellation concerned. Okay, so when there's a judicial decree that comes down from Salvington, they're administered to all the constellations, even though each constellation has its own groups of laws, right? And they're administered by the local systems, which is for us would be our local system of Satania, right? All right. Gary, is he back? Yeah. Gary, would you take the next one?
Let me plug my battery stuff in and I'll start reading.
Okay.
Okay. It's a short one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Constellations thus function as the legislative or lawmaking units, which the local systems serve as executive or enforcement units. The Salvington government is the supreme judicial and coordinating authority.
So when the constellation makes laws, it's the responsibility of the local systems to execute those laws, right? So when a local system rebels, like it did in our case, then it's the responsibility of the constellation to step in and administer that system until everything's straightened out. And that's exactly what happened with ours, because Lucifer rebelled, so immediately they notified the constellation fathers, which would be the Lananondex, right? I mean, the Verandadex. And so as soon as they did, they sent out a new system sovereign, which was Lanaforge. They couldn't remove Lucifer until Lanaforge got there. Okay, so there's a time lag there. But this is all done still under the authority of Salvington or the local universe under Michael. Okay. All right. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. While the supreme judicial function rests with the central administration of a local universe, there are two subsidiaries. but major tribunals at the headquarters of each constellation, the Melchizedek Council, and the Court of the Most High.
Right, and there's three most highs that see over everything, and then they have a Melchizedek council to give them advice, right? All right, I skipped over it. There we go. Okay, Letch, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. All judicial problems are first reviewed by the Council of Melchizedek. 12 of this order who have had certain requisite experience on the evolutionary planets and on the system headquarters worlds are empowered to review evidence, digest pleas, and formulate provisional verdicts, which are passed on to the court of the Most High, the reigning constellation Far. The mortal division of this latter tribunal consists of 7 judges, all of whom are ascendant mortals. And the higher you ascend in the universe, the more certain you are to be judged by those of your own kind.
Now, you can't think that these judges they're talking about are anything like our judges in our court systems now. These are people with values, and these people are take truth very seriously. So it's nothing like our judicial system, if that's what you're thinking. Okay. I miss having my touchscreen here. Y'all gotta excuse me tonight. I had 2 computers crash before I could get online tonight. All judicial problems of the constitution are first reviewed by the Melchizedek Council, and this is an example of a picture of the 12 Melchizedeks who are the council. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. The constellation legislative body is divided into 3 groups. The legislative program of a constellation originates in the lower house of ascenders, a group presided over by a finaliter and consisting of 1,000 representative mortals. Each system nominates 10 members to sit in this deliberative assembly. On Urantia, this body is not fully recruited at the present time.
Why would that be? Because all the local systems are not finished here in our local universe, are they?
Correct.
Okay, so they're going to have gaps where we don't even have systems and planets in place yet. Okay, they estimate about over little bit over 1/3 of our local universe is finished. 1/3. So there's 2/3 that are not finished, but some of them not even started. Right. Yeah, so we're fairly new. So that's why there's some gaps in our assembly. It says here on this picture, the lower house of ascenders is provided over by a finaliter and consists of 1,000 representative mortals. So this is a job that we may even sit on when we get there eventually, right? Each system nominates 10 members to sit on this delivery assembly. On Urantia, this body is not fully recruited at this time. And it shows a picture here of different systems. And what it fails to show is we got so many systems that not only aren't recruited yet, but aren't even finished yet, right? So makes it kind of difficult. All right. Let's see, Diane, you're up again.
The mid-chamber of legislators is composed of the seraphic host and their associates, other children of the local universe mother spirit, other children of the local universe mother spirit. This group numbers 100 and is nominated by the supervising personalities who preside over the various activities of such things as they function within the constellation.
Such beings.
So the seraphic host have their representation in these assemblies too, right? Because they are citizens of this constellation, right? All right.
And other children of the mother
And
spirit.
other children of the mother spirit.
What are they referring to?
Well, there's tons and tons of beings they don't tell us about in the book,
And
right? That are not directly related to our ascension plan, so they didn't feel the need to inform us about them, right? Where the seraphic hosts are definitely associated with our ascension plan, right?
interest in all the information, which is a lot in the Urantia book, it's probably just a drop.
Of
rea-
of everything, right? Yeah. It's hard to even imagine that. You know, we make such a big deal of trying to learn this book, and it takes intellectual stamina just to get through it, right? And this is not even a little piece of it. You know what I mean? I'm saying? So makes you feel kind of stupid, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, look at it. All right. Let's see, Gary, would you take the next one?
The advisory or highest body of constellations legislators consists of the House of Peers, the House of the Divine Sons. This course is chosen by the Most High Fathers and members and numbers 10. Only sons of special experience may serve in this upper house. This is the fact-finding and time-saving group which very effectively serves both of the lower divisions of the Legislative Assembly.
Okay, and you'll notice here they got a lot of different types of beings they're talking about that serve on this council, right? The House of the Divine Sons. The different hats and stuff. All right, and they kind of made this picture look like a lot of different types of being because they're not really sure who all these divine sons are. Yeah, looks like a cowboy anyway. All right, Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The combined council of legislators consists of 3 members from each of these separate branches of the constellation, deliberative assembly, and is presided over by the reigning junior most high. This group sanctions the final form of all enactments and authorizes their promulgation by the broadcasters. The approval of this Supreme Commission renders legislative enactments the law of the realm. Their acts are final. The legislative pronouncements of Urantia constitute the fundamental law of all Norlantiadak.
Okay. So these are kind of the checks and balances of the legislative assembly, right? Of each constellation. All right, now we're going to the Most High's and Norlantiadak. Lech, would you take that one?
Okay. The rulers of the constellations are of the Vorandadic order of local universe sonship. When commissioned to active duty in the universe as constellation rulers or otherwise, these sons are known as the Most Highs, since they embody the highest administrative wisdom coupled with the most far-seeing and intelligent loyalty of all the orders of the local universe sons of God. Their personal integrity and their group loyalty have never been questioned. No disaffection of the Voranandek sons has ever occurred in Nebadon.
Okay, so remember the Voranandek sons are a created order of sonship by Michael, right? They're created perfectly for their jobs, just like the Lananandek sons were created for their jobs. But the Lananandeks are mostly system sovereigns and the systems, things like that, like Lucifer was, right? The Vorandadek sons are on the constellation level, the next level up, and they apparently are even more perfect than the Lananandek sons, okay? And there has never been disaffection of a Verandadek sun in the history of our local universe. So that's probably why they're called the Most Highs. They're the highest in wisdom in the universe, or in the constellation. All right. And this is
Roger.
gonna, yeah.
Um, I'm pretty sure this is what, I can't remember the wording exactly, but when Gabriel appeared to Mary to
Uh-huh.
tell her that the conception within her was ordained,
Right.
but he was, I think he said, under the blessings of the Most High.
Yeah, they had to approve, yeah, the bestowal of Michael as a human being in this constellation, right? That's why they would say that. In other words, nothing goes on in the constellation without the approval and authority of the Most High or the Verandadek sons, right? Because they run our local constellation. Now, keep in mind, we keep getting this bioptic view of the universe. There's 100 other constellations in our local universe, right? 100 other ones. So this large section of land, I shouldn't call it land, large section of reality seems like it's humongous, but there's 99 others the same size that we're living in this local universe, right?
More section of space.
More section of space. So keep in mind, if we have 100 constellations in the local universe of Nebadon, right? That's what they're talking about. And we've only finished, and Michael's only finished about 30% of our local universe. That means a large portion of this. Would you catch this? I think that's the doctor there. Take your earplug out and tell her I'm in a meeting.
Hello. Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Is- Dr. Whitaker.
Fine, thank you. We're in a meeting right now.
Online, it'll be over
Online.
at 7. Can she call me back?
Could you
or-
call us about 7?
I need to talk to her.
Yeah, my husband needs to talk with you, but we're in a meeting right now. Could you possibly call us back at 7 or 7:05? Super, thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So keep in mind this, the constellations we're talking about, these other 100 constellations are only about a third finished also, right? So you think about it this way. If there's 100 constellations and only 1/3 of all the other constellations is finished, only 1/3 of it is done, 2/3 of all the rest of the constellations are not manned and finished either, right?
There's
So
a
what
lot.
does lots of growth out there yet, right? So another thing comes up is this. If rebellion happened in Satania, our local system, think of all the local systems and all these other constellations, the possibility of another rebellion in Michael's domain is very real. Would it not be?
Yeah, however, Michael has authority to stop it immediately.
To stop it immediately now, doesn't he? Because he's a master son, right? And the Ancients of Days has given him the right to squelch any rebellion that happens immediately if he chooses to.
If he chooses, correct.
See, that's where the big caveat comes in, because Michael, being just like the eternal son, is based on what? Love and mercy, right?
Mercy,
Right? Does that make sense?
mercy dominates.
Yeah, and mercy dominates everything he does. So the possibility that he would let another rebellion go to its fruition is very real, right?
What persecution that is for other people that are not part of
It
that.
seems like persecution to us, but it may have something to do with the experience, the experiential value of becoming loyal, right? And it's hard for us to have wisdom to understand that, right?
Well,
And you can't have right without wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that's just all there is to it, right?
well,
All right, so
didn't Michael say at one time to Lucifer that he was made him judged by the Most High because he loved him,
yes.
and because of the love, he would be influenced in his judgment. So
Uh-huh.
therefore, he relegated him to be judged by the Most High.
Yeah, the Most
So I
High,
would
and then
imagine-
it kicks on up to whom? The Ancients of Days, right?
Mhm. So
Right.
therefore, he was he re he stepped down because of his love, knowing he could not do the job correctly.
I don't think it wasn't because he couldn't do the job correctly. I think it was his mercy part of his being kicked in and said, as a merciful son, I must allow this to continue for the well-being of all beings. You see what I'm saying? That's a hard concept for us to get, period. Right? All right. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Rodney, would you take the next paragraph, please?
3:2, correct.
Yeah. Mhm.
At least 3 Verandadek sons are commissioned by Gabriel as the Most Highs of each of the Nebadon constellations. The presiding member of this trio is known as the constellation father, and his 2 associates as the senior Most High and the junior Most High. A constellation father reigns for 10,000 standard years, about 50,000 Urantia years, having previously served as junior associate and a senior associate for equal periods. Wow.
So that's 150,000 of our years, right? That they serve. That, you know, both as junior and senior, right?
Hmm.
All right, so this is just a picture of the senior Most High, the constellation father, and the junior Most High, right? And this shows us as number 70, our constellation of Norlashadek in the local universe, right? That's where we are. In essence, this whole paper is about where we are, right? In space, what it boils down to, you know. And if someone asked you tonight when you get offline, you could say, well, I spent the hour learning where I was in space tonight, you know, because that's what this is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Diane, would you take the next one, please, dear?
The psalmist knew that Adentia was ruled by 3 constellation fathers, and accordingly spoke of their abode in the plural. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the most holy place of the tabernacles of the Most Highs.
So this is what he had been taught, probably by whom? Melchizedek, right? Teaching him about the Most Highs. Makes sense? Yeah, Melchizedek did it again, didn't I? Old habits die hard. Sorry, Letch.
I've been practicing Letch.
Okay, Gary, would you take the next one?
Down through the ages, there has been great confusion on Urantia regarding the various universe rulers. Many later teachers confused their vague and indefinite
Yeah.
tribal deities with the Most High Fathers. Still later, the Hebrews merged all of these celestial rulers into a composite deity. One teacher understood that the Most Highs were not the supreme rulers, for he said, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. In the Urantia records, it is very difficult at times to know exactly who is referred to by the term Most High. But Daniel fully understood these matters. Wow. He said, the Most High rules in the kingdom of man and gives it to whomever he will.
Okay, so there's a great confusion in these old writings when they talk about Most High. Are they talking about God the Father? Or are they talking about the Most Highs themselves? Right, and it's hard to distinguish them, who they're speaking of, because it depends on who taught these people that were writing, whom they were talking about. Right, when Melchizedek comes along and teaches everyone about the three most high rulers of the constellation, that's different than God the Father, the Almighty, right? Okay. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Jane, would you take the next one? Jane, how are you getting only the single sentence ones all night?
It's okay. It all balances out. The constellation fathers are little occupied with the individuals of an inhabited planet, but they are closely associated with those legislative and lawmaking functions of the constellations, which so greatly concern every mortal race and national group of the inhabited worlds.
Okay, so you see how everything concerns the mortal race, because everything that goes on in our constellation directly down through our system affects us, doesn't it? So any rules or laws they make affects us also. All right, Litch, would you take the next one?
Although the constellation regime stands between you and the universe administration, as individuals, you would ordinarily be little concerned with the constellation government. Your great interests would normally center in the local system, Satania, but temporarily, Urantia is closely related to the constellation rulers because of certain system and planetary conditions growing out of the Lucifer rebellion.
So because of the Lucifer rebellion, the constellation rulers have to keep a very close tab and watch on what goes on with each and every planet, don't they? Right? All of them that rebelled. So it makes their job more difficult. And that's why they have representatives on all these planets also. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. The Urantia Most High sees certain phases of planetary authority on the rebellious worlds at the time of the Lucifer succession. They have continued to exercise this power, and the ancients of days long since confirmed this assumption of control over these wayward worlds. They will no doubt continue to exercise this assumed jurisdiction as long as Lucifer lives. Much of this authority would ordinarily, in a loyal system, be invested in the system's sovereign.
Which in our case is Lanaforge now, right? It was Lucifer, okay? So that's what they're talking about here. So normally this authority would be under the system sovereign, right? But because of the Lucifer rebellion, Lanaforge has to take over this job, but he's still directly responsible to whom? The Most Highs, right? So everything that goes on is watched very, very carefully. All right, dear, would you take the next one?
But there is still another way in which Urantia became peculiarly related to the Most Highs. When Michael, the Creator's son, was on his terminal bestowal mission, since the successor of Lucifer was not in full authority in the local system, all Urantia affairs which concerned the Michael bestowal were immediately supervised by the Most Highs of Melchizedek.
Okay, and that's why it's still being supervised, right? Okay, because of the Michael bestowal here, everything changed on this planet, right? This became a planet of interest, which makes you wonder how they feel about all this AI stuff going on, right? That, you know, I don't know who was here when we started the meeting tonight, but we were talking about how Elon Musk was talking to Tucker Carlson last night, and he's going to be on again tonight. But they were talking about how the Google owner started the AI craze with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk got out of it because of this attitude that this other person that owns Google was trying to allow AI to take over everything. And he called them that they're trying to create what's called an AI God. Have y'all heard anything about this?
No, not even.
You know, artificial
God.
intelligence is just programming. All right. Any way you look at it, I don't care how intelligent it's supposed to be, how intelligent it's supposed to get. Somebody originally programmed it. And if it learns on a certain exponential process, that's fine. But it is not human. It does not have human emotions.
It's
It will
a
never. Yeah, it's a machine. It will never have human emotions. And to call it a god is not only sacrilege, it's horrible, right?
Dangerous.
Dangerous. And that becomes very dangerous to whom? Our children and our children's children. And when these things are influencing everything from religion to politics to healthcare to all these other things, it's dangerous. I don't care what anybody says. It's probably the bigger danger than we have with all this talk about wars and everything else. It really is. It affects, yeah,
This makes everything in the future, if that would
Yeah.
take over, to be strictly logical, no compassion.
that
It
doesn't
would
have a
be
soul. Yeah,
It would be a programmed world
yeah.
in which the
Well,
imagination, I mean,
that's not the
would be
worst
like
part.
it'd be like living inside a cell.
It is. It is. Gary, the worst part is because it doesn't have a soul and they're trying to make it a god. They're trying to put it in place of human beings. And human beings are the primary beings on this planet. I don't care how smart they say these things get. They are not smarter than the souls of human beings, which are run by what? The thought adjusters, right? They're influenced by the thought adjusters. These machines has no thought adjusters, right? So that
Well,
changes everything.
if any one of us dies in the near future, we better put an SOS out to God.
Yeah, really. You know, human beings have let their turn their brains off if what they've done.
You know, I wonder if this has anything to do with the adjudication of Lucifer.
Who knows, Gary? It could be. It could very well be. You know, how far are they going to let us go? The administration of this planet is going to let us go till someone steps in and says, "Hey guys, y'all are going down the wrong pathway," right? That's the real problem. And being a religionist or a religious teacher, whatever you want to call me, it concerns me when human beings start spouting out things that the machines are going to take the place of God the Father. That is not going to happen. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah.
You know, have you ever thought the person you just referred to may be Elon Musk? And I'm very hesitant to place that on anybody that I would know.
What do you mean, Gary? Well,
you just said that someone would step forward and warn us and tell us not to do this.
Yeah, well, he's
And
done
that
that.
person may be Elon Musk, huh?
It might be. He's done it over and over again on multiple programs and stuff. And the mainstream media doesn't seem to pick up on it. Only a couple networks do. And you would think that would be the number one thing people should hear, don't you? And you know, he talks about a lot of other things on this program last night about his space stuff and that sort of things. And But the fact is, he is genuinely concerned about the future of free speech, the future of the children, the future of religion. I mean, he doesn't even spout to be a religious man. He says, I don't know if I have a soul. I may have a soul, but he says, I want the opportunity to be able to investigate these things, you know, and he's right about that. You know, I'm sure I have a soul. I have no doubt whatsoever. And he may get to some point in his life where he'll be sure about having a soul. But when someone who does not feel that the way we do, and particularly gets up and says, this is a warning to the future, you know, somebody needs to listen. You know, we really do. This whole internet thing has gotten out of hand. I use the internet daily. You know, we use it for these meetings. We use it when it's a tool, and when it's used as a tool properly, it's great. But when you let it start take over your lives and change your opinions about things that you've developed for yourself, it's not good, right? Any way you look at it. Okay, so let's keep going. Mount of Assembly, the faithful of the, yeah, Rodney.
But I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I mean, we are aware that there's countless worlds that are so far advanced, more
Oh,
than
yeah.
there are in the other super universes.
Yeah.
They're super advanced.
Yeah.
Surely this same problem about AI has been faced numerous times.
Right.
Over and over again. Yeah. Yeah. Probably by our close neighbors too, Rodney, you know, because the difference of 100,000 years and one planet and another is like night and day, right? So, you know, and who knows, maybe one of these other planets will stop by sometime and say, listen, you guys are going down the wrong road. You need to straighten out, you know, and wouldn't hurt my feelings any at all, you know, but, you know, it worries you to think that the influences, what bothers me more than anything is the influence on the children more than anything else, you know. And you look at the news and you see the restlessness in the street of the young people. It's sad. It's really sad.
It's dangerous.
So, it's dangerous too. All right. So who's up reading now? I think Gary just read, didn't he? Okay, Jane, you don't get by with one paragraph and one sentence. You got to read two. You got to read two paragraphs there.
All right. So 4, Mount Assembly, the faithful of days. The most holy Mount of Assembly is the dwelling place of the faithful of days, the representative of the Paradise Trinity who functions on Identium. This faithful of days is a Trinity Son of Paradise and has been present on Identia as the personal representative of Emmanuel since the creation of the headquarters world. Ever the faithful of days stands at the right hand of the constellation fathers to counsel them, but never does he pro-offer advice unless it is asked for. The high sons of paradise never participate in the conduct of the affairs of a local universe except upon the petition of the acting rulers of such domains. But all that a union of days is to a creator son, a faithful of days is to the most highs of a constellation.
Okay, so who is the faithful of days? These are 100, one in each constellation at least. I think there's 3 up in each constellation, but I can't be sure of that. I'm quoting that off of memory. But there's only one union of days. That's the one that assists the Creator Son, and he is the Paradise Trinity representative to the Creator Son, isn't he? So there's one of those in a local universe, but the faithful of days, there's at least one for every constellation. You follow me? And what they do is they give advice, Paradise Trinity advice, to the constellation fathers or the most highs whenever they ask for it. So if they have something comes up and they want to know what the Trinity would do about something, they would ask the what? The faithful of days. And that would give them advice directly from the Trinity. Make sense? So
Correct.
that's what the faithful of days.
So are we saying here, in our case, would it be Michael or would it be Lana Forge? Like, who's going to ask for advice?
No, it would be the senior most high that would ask for advice. You know, there's three most highs. It would be the senior most high that would ask for the faithful of days for advice.
Okay.
Okay.
It
So
has to
Lana
get to
Forge
that
is
level.
lower down. Yeah, Lana Forge is lower down on the pecking order, right? He's a
Mhm.
system sovereign.
Well, which
Okay.
means we could be in a lot of trouble before they get to solutions.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, keep in mind too, see, this creates an issue because the faithful of days are the constellation is the lowest in the pecking order to have a representative of the Trinity. Okay,
Mhm.
so the systems do not have a representative of the Trinity on each system. You follow me?
Just the
But just the constellations. So we know there's at least 100 faithful of days for the constellations. And if I'm not, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there's 3 faithful of days for each constellation. Okay.
3.
Mhm.
Pretty sure that's right. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think that's the case.
But it
All right.
doesn't alter. It doesn't
Huh?
alter the structure. There is
No,
3,
it
but
doesn't.
it doesn't alter the structure.
Doesn't order the structure that the faithful of days is the lowest on the scale of the universe to have representation by the Trinity. Okay, it doesn't go down to the system level, it only goes down to the constellation.
Mhm.
Okay, now think about this and you'll kind of understand why this is the case. Each planet is an experiential experiment, are they not? So as we go through mortal lives, we're going through an experiential experiment on this planet for a very short period of time. All right. When we go out of this planet and we go to the system, Satania, or the dimension worlds, we go from the experiential experience of the planet to what? An experiential experience of the system. Make sense?
Mhm.
So on the system level, we should be doing what? Maturing, right? Becoming wise. Make sense?
Mhm.
So when we're in the mansion worlds and we're in the system level, we should have gained enough experience from our previous life that we would start to gain wisdom. And by the time we leave the system level and we're ready to go to the constellation, we should be big brains by then, right? A lot bigger than we start out with. From these little pea brains to lots of information in there, right? And so when we get to that constellation level, we need advice on the higher level. Make sense? On the experiential level of this planet, we don't really need that much advice. Our goal at this level is to experience and learn, right? On the next level is to experience and learn, but get rid of all the bad stuff we learned on the first level, right? Get rid of the mark of the beast. It's a great system, makes perfect sense, right? All right, let's go on to the next one. Letch, would you take the next one, the residents of the Urantia faithful day?
Okay. The residence of the Urantia faithful of days is the constellation center of the paradise system of extra-universe communication and intelligence. These Trinity sons, with their staffs of Havona, and Paradise personalities in liaison with the supervising union of days are in direct and constant communication with their order throughout all the universes, even to Havana and Paradise.
There you go. So they're in constant contact with Havana and Paradise and the Trinity, because they're Trinity teacher sons, right? I mean, Trinity sons, right? All right. So we get direct advice straight from Havana and Paradise. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one? The most
Yeah,
holy mount?
so it ditches like the communication system is there.
The central hub of everything for our constellation, if you
And
think
then
of it that way.
As far as enforcing, I mean, there's no police, but is it the archangels that police?
Yeah, archangels are authorized to police. Yeah, that's why they're one of the most powerful angels in our universe, right? They actually have the authority to apprehend people,
That's
you
what I
know,
mean.
and take them before the ancients of days. So very few beings can do that. Okay.
All right. The
The most holy mount.
correct. The most holy mount is exquisitely beautiful and marvelously appointed, but the actual residence of the Paradise Sun is modest in comparison with the central abode of the Most Highs and the surrounding 70 structures comprising the residential unit of the Verandadek sons. These appointments are exclusively residential. They are entirely separate from the extensive administrative headquarter buildings wherein the affairs of constellation are transacted.
Okay, do you realize what this is saying? It's saying that the Verandadek sons' living quarters and their abodes are more beautiful than the creator sons itself.
That's interesting, huh?
Isn't that
Oh, yeah.
interesting?
I wonder from whose perspective, though.
I don't know, but it says to me one thing. It says to me that our creator son loves his sons that he's created to the effect that he wants them to be more comfortable than he is himself. Pretty
That's
special,
mercy.
isn't it? Yeah, that's very
or-
interesting.
It could be that, or which one has the biggest ego.
That
And
could be
these
true too.
guys, are these guys, can they be tested at this point? I don't remember.
Can they be what?
Tested,
Tested?
yeah.
I'm
If they're
sure
on
they're
the deck.
test. Yeah, I'm sure everything they do is some kind of test in one way or another, Jane,
So
right?
they could fail too, they could
They,
rebel.
yeah, failure is always possibility. As long as you're free will, failure is always a possibility. Also keep in mind too, y'all, that the Verandadek sons, like the Lananandek sons, do not have what? Thought adjusters, right? So there's always a possibility of defection, isn't there? Right?
Well, then that could be a test for them.
That could very well be, right? All right, let's go to the next one. Dear, would you take the next one?
The residence of the faithful of days on Urantia is located to the north of these residences of the Most Highs and is known as the Mount of Paradise Assembly. On this consecrated highland, the ascending mortals periodically assemble to hear the Son of Paradise tell of the long and intriguing journey of progressing mortals through the 1 billion perfection worlds of Havana and onto the indescribable delights of paradise. And it is at these special gatherings on Mount Assembly that the Urantia mortals become more fully acquainted with the various groups of personalities of origin in the central universe.
So when we get to this level, we'll have these beings, the faithfuls of days, telling us stories about the ascension plan through the central universe, right? And we'll get to meet more and more personalities that will be on our way to paradise, right?
It sure sounds to me like all of us mortals are going to be very familiar with Mount Assembly.
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? What I did there. Okay. Is that showing up on your screen? No. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. Gary, would you take the next one?
The treacherous Lucifer, one-time sovereign of Santania, in announcing his claims to increase jurisdiction, sought to displace all superior orders of sonship in the government plan of the local universe. His purpose in his heart, saying, I will exalt my throne above the sons of God. I will sit upon the Mount of Assembly in the north. I will be like the Most High.
Dang.
Pretty arrogant, isn't it?
Yeah. Sure.
It's hard for me to understand how someone could get that in love with themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Ego.
Ego, right? There we go. It's crazy. You know, when you read and understand this book and you understand the things that Lucifer did, it's hard to understand how anybody would follow him, doesn't it? It's crazy. All right. Let's see here. Jane, would you take the next one?
Okay. The 100 system sovereigns come periodically to the Urantia conclaves, which deliberate on the welfare of the constellation. After the Satania rebellion, the arch rebels of Jerusalem arch rebels
Yes, sorry.
of
Yes.
Jerusalem were wont to come up to these Urantia councils, just as they had on former occasions. And there was found no way to stop this arrogant effrontery until after the bestowal of Michael on Urantia and his subsequent assumption of unlimited sovereignty throughout all Nabodon. Never since that day have these instigators of sin been permitted to sit in the Urantia councils of the loyal system sovereigns.
Rodney, it makes you wonder, was these archangels that issued them out? Just pushed them out of it, I don't know. It's a good question. Letch, would you take the next one, please?
Okay, is that 4-8?
Yeah, 4-8, that the teachers.
Okay, that the teachers of olden times knew of these things is shown by the record. And there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Most Highs, and Satan came also and presented himself among them. And this is a statement of fact, regardless of the connection in which it chances to appear.
Okay, so Satan himself actually came in, wanted to
I wonder
place, right?
where that quote is. I wonder if it's in the Bible or.
I don't know if it's in the book of Job, but it seems
It may be. You can look in these Bible references at the end of this
Yes.
section and you can find it.
and find out.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's try to get these last two paragraphs real quick. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. Since the triumph of Christ, all Norlesia deck is being cleansed of sin and rebels. Sometime before Michael's death in the flesh, the fallen Lucifer's associate, Satan, sought to attend such an Urantia conclave. But the solidification of sentiment against the arch rebels had reached the point where the doors of sympathy were so well nigh universally closed that there could be found no standing ground for the Satania adversaries. When there exists no open door for the reception of evil, there exists no opportunity for the entertainment of sin. The doors of the hearts of all Urantia closed against Satan. He was unanimously rejected by the assembled system sovereigns. And it was at this time that the Son of Man beheld Satan fall as lightning from heaven.
And that's the quote from the Bible,
And
right?
that definitely.
All right. So it's interesting. It says here, when there's no open door found, no way that people let evil in, it won't find its place, right? That's the big trick, right?
But I
When you
wonder
don't,
how Lucifer allowed that to happen.
I don't know. Let me take this last paragraph so we can close this out for tonight. Since the Lucifer rebellion, a new structure has been provided near the residence of the faithful of days. This temporary edifice is the headquarters of the Most High Liaison, who functions in close touch with the Paradise Son as advisor to the Constellation government in all matters respecting the policy and attitude of the Order of Days towards sin and rebellion. Pretty interesting, huh?
It's interesting, no opportunity for the entertainment of sin.
Yeah, no opportunity for the entertainment of sin if you don't provide an open door, right? All right, and we'll stop there and take number 5 up next time. Let's say a little prayer and we will stop for tonight. I gotta get a call real here quick, so I'm gonna close us tonight. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to share this wonderful revelation. Thank you for all these people that come and listen to our meetings and open their hearts and minds. Help us figure out all these problems in this crazy, crazy world that we live in. We know you're with us. We know you'll guide us if we just open our hearts and minds to your guidance. We thank you. We give you the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank
Good to
you.
see
Thank you very
Thanks,
much, Roger.
You're welcome, y'all.
See you.
We will see you Thursday, right?
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
Love
Bye-bye.
you.
over and out, everybody.